Hi, in this video we are going to see what is the Django REST Framework API. So before going to learn the Django REST Framework API, you must have to know what is the Python, the Django. And I hope if you are learning the Django REST Framework API, it means you have already completed the Python and the Django framework. So let's start with the introduction part, like what is the Django REST framework and why we are using this Django REST framework. So first of all, what is the Django REST framework, which is also known as DRF? So the Django REST framework is the powerful and flexible toolkit for building the web APIs. Don't worry about the what is the web APIs. In this video, we are going to discuss in detail all the terminology. So just focus on the definition, like what is the Django REST framework? So the Django REST framework is the powerful and flexible toolkit for building a web API. Interviewer might be asked you, because of that only I am covering this theoretical part. It is the most commonly used framework in the Python to build the web API. This framework internally uses all the Django facilities like a model, view, templates, and URL. So this is the introduction of the Django REST framework. This Django REST framework is basically used to develop the API in the Python. Okay. So the next question might become why we need to learn the API. Don't worry, we will also discuss what is the API. But first of all, why we need to learn this API? So just see here, without API, our Django web application is like a human being without leg and hand. It is nothing more than one static project with limited use of scope. Let me tell you what I'm trying to say you. See, without API, we can develop the project. And if you see in the last video only, we have developed the Django help desk ticket system without using this web API. Okay, but the problem is that if you are going to develop any project without using the API, it means you are going to restrict that particular project with the limited use of scope. Okay, so with the help of the API, what we can do with the help of the API, we can allow data access and sharing, integrate with the third-party services, enhance the security and authentication system. So with the help of the API, what we can do, we can allow our application or our project to share the data with another application. And basically the API stand for the application programming interface. Okay, and the use of the API is to transfer or share the data and to build the communication between the two applications. They might be in same language or in different language. Okay, so I hope you're clear. So the most common terminology used in the Django REST framework is the API, Web API, REST and REST API and RESTful API. These are the very more common terminology we are going to see in this particular video, or we can say in this particular Django REST framework series. So I'm going to explain one by one, like what is the API, what is the Web API, what is the REST, what is the REST API or RESTful API. Okay, so start with the what is the API. So the API stand for Application Programming Interface. I'm repeating again, API. The API stand for Application Programming Interface. Okay, and one more thing, this Django REST framework it's a framework only which is used to develop the web API. So keep in mind, okay? And come here. So what is the API? API stand for Application Programming Interface. And what is the use of this API? So here you can see an API used for communication, and in bracket I have written data sharing between two applications. For example, By using the API, Java application can communicate with Python application. Or don't think like that, only Java application can communicate with the Python application. No, any application written in any language can communicate with another application with the help of the API. I hope I'm clear. So the API stand for Application Programming Interface, and API used for building the communication between the two applications. And when I'm saying the communication, exactly what? So the communication between the application is nothing but the sharing the data. Okay, so keep in mind, when I'm using the word communication, it means they are sharing the data with each other. So I hope I'm clear what is the API. So the next things, what is the web API? So the interface of communication between the user might be any application. So don't be confused what is the user. This is might be any another application, and this is another application. So the interface of communication between the user and application over the web by using the HTTP is nothing but the web API. Let me tell you what I'm trying to say. For example, you have one project which is, or we have, for example, you have one website which is hosted on web, and you have one application. So with the help of a application, you want to access the services of the B application which is hosted on the server. At that time, we required one API, and those API is nothing but the web API. The API which is build the communication between the application and the web application. I'm repeating again, see what I'm trying to say. For example, you have one application A and you have one application B. For example, B is the hosted on the server. Okay. So from A application, if you want to access the services of the B application which is hosted on the server or web, so at that time you required one API, and that kind of API is nothing but the web API. Here is the one example. One application want to communicate with the web application with the help of the API. Such type of API is known as the web API. Okay. So the next thing, what is the REST? Most of the people getting confused. REST is something technology or something library or etc. But in a simple way, first of all, REST stand for representational state transfer, and it is not any tool, it is not any library, nothing. REST is the architectural style, or what we can say, it is a guideline to develop the API. So the basically REST is the set of rules. We can simply say it's a set of rules or guideline to develop the web app, to develop the API. So if we are going to develop any API by following the guideline or architectural style of the REST, such type of API is going to be called as the REST API. Same thing, only we have written here. What is the REST API? The API which is developed by using the REST architectural style or guidelines is known as REST API. And REST API and RESTful API both are same thing. So don't be confused. What is the REST API and RESTful API? The API which is developed by the help of the REST architectural style or guidelines is nothing but the REST API or RESTful API. Again, we can develop API without REST also. So don't be think if we want to develop the API, then we have to use the REST framework only. No. Without REST framework also, we can develop the API, but it is very lengthy or time consuming process. We have to write lots of code. But with the help of the Django REST framework API, 90% of the code is already provided by the Django REST framework, which is also known as DRF. So don't be confused what is the DRF. In the interview room, interviewer might be asked what is the DRF. So DRF is nothing but the Django REST framework only. Okay. And the interviewer might be asked you what is the REST API, what is the RESTful API. So don't be confused. REST API, RESTful APIs, both are same thing. And the API which is developed with the help of the REST architectural style or guideline is known as REST API. I hope I'm clear. Then there is two very popular terminology, like what is the web service provider and web service consumer. So this is very simple thing. See, the application which is providing the web service is called web service provider. The application which is consuming the web data through the web services is called web service consumer. For example, Book My Show app and payment gateway. To complete our booking, Book My Show application will communicate with the payment gateway application. Hence, the payment gateway application act as the web service provider and Book My Show application act as a web service consumer. Let me try to explain you. See, service provider and service web service provider and web service consumer. The application which is providing the service is nothing but the web service provider, and the application which is using that particular service is nothing but the consumer. So if you have seen, if you are going to book any ticket, so for example, Book My Show is the one application through which we can book the ticket. Okay, but when we are booking the ticket, after that we have to make the payment also. So this Book My Show is going to use the particular functionality of payment gateway to done the payment. It means payment gateway providing the service. It means payment gateway is the provider and Book My Show is using that particular service. It means the Book My Show is nothing but the consumer. I hope you are clear. Then there is two very important lines you need to keep in mind. The common communication language is HTTP. The common message format is XML and JSON. So time being, no need to focus that much on this one, but keep in mind that particular common language is HTTP, hypertext transfer protocol, and the format is the XML or either XML or JSON. So in this video, we are going to learn. We are going to see in JSON format. XML previously was very popular, but right now JSON is booming. So we are going to see the JSON. So the next things, HTTP verbs or methods. So in the interview room, interviewer might be ask you what are the different HTTP verbs, or he can also ask what are the different HTTP methods. So let's see. HTTP represent the type of operation what we required. Based on our requirement, we have to use the corresponding HTTP verb or methods. The following are the various HTTP verbs like get, post, put, patch, delete. These all key have different operation to be performed. For example, this get method or HTTP verb is used to get one or more existing resource. For example, in database we have records. So with the help of this get method, we can fetch that particular data. Then post, to create the new resource. For example, you want to create the new entry in the database. At that time, we can use the post method. Then put, if we want to update the existing record, and if we want and all the fields, at that time we can use the put. So basically this put is used to update the existing record. Then patch, to perform the partial updating. See, put is used to update the records, like all the records of particular entry, and the patch is used to partially update, like few fields only, not all. Okay. Then delete, as usual, to delete the existing resources. And if you compare this operation or HTTP verbs with the database operation, so you can, I hope you know this CRUD operation. So this create is similar to the post, this retrieve is similar to the get, update is similar to the put and patch, and delete is similar to the delete. So I hope you are able to build the relationship between these two. Okay. See, in this video, we are going to focus on the theoretical part only, because once theoretically you are clear, like what is the Django REST framework, what is the API, what are the different operations supported by the Django REST framework or API, then only you will able to write the code. So don't think Like, let's start with the coding part only. No. First, you have to clear with the theory of the framework, this Django REST framework API. Okay. So because of that only, I'm covering this theoretical part. From next video, we will develop the APIs. Okay. So come here. Next thing, serializer. See, in the Django REST framework, serializers are very important things. Without serializer, you cannot do anything. Okay. So first we have to understand what is the serializers. So Django REST framework serializers are responsible for following activity. So this serializer are responsible for serialization, deserialization, and validation. So these three functionality or activities supported by these serializers. Okay. And in the serialization, we have a different serializer. For example, model serializer, hyperlink model serializer, list serializer, and we have many more serializer. So, but model serializer is the most popular serializer. Okay. So we are going to focus on this model serializer. So the next things, deserialization and validation. Note, DRF serialization will work very similar to the Django form and model form class. You are going to learn Django REST framework. Okay, it means you have already know the Django framework. So you are aware. So it means you are also aware with this Django forms and model form. So same thing I have trying to explain here. These serializers will work very similar to the Django forms and model forms. It means if you know how to create the Django form and model form, it means you are able to create the serializer also. It is very similar to this one. Okay. So theoretically, what is the serialization? See, pay attention. This is most important concept, serialization, deserialization. Okay. Because entire API development is depend on these things only. This is the base of the API development. Okay. So kindly pay attention. What is the serialization? So interviewer might be ask you, what is the serialization? So see here, the process of converting the complex object like model object and query set to the Python native data type like a dictionary is called serialization. I know most of the people not getting what I'm trying to say. I'm repeating again. The process of converting complex object like model object. We know what is the model object because we have already created model object in the Django framework many times. Okay. And query set. See, in simple word, let me tell you. For example, you have one model table. Okay. Or in your Django framework. So the particular, for example, there you have 10 records. For example, you have a name, address, city of the student, and you have a 10 record for different student. Okay. So one particular record is nothing but called as the object. I'm repeating again. For example, you have a 10 records of the student. So for if you're going to fetch one record, which is nothing but going to be called as the object. And if you're going to fetch more than one record, it is nothing but going to be called as the query set. So keep in mind, model object have only one record, query set having more than one record. So the process of converting the complex object like a model object and the query set to the Python native data type like a dictionary is called serialization. Okay, I hope I'm clear. The main advantage of converting into the Python native data type is we can convert or render very easily to the JSON or XML. Okay, as I told you in this particular series, we are going to see the JSON only. So let me remove the XML. And let me tell you, Python dictionary data type is 99% similar to the JSON data type. There is a one very slightly difference between the JSON data type and the Python dictionary. So if we are able to convert the complex data model object and query set to the dictionary, and dictionary is nothing but the inbuilt data type which is supported by the Python and Python. Okay, and as I told you, dictionary is the very similar, or we can say 99% similar to the JSON format. So it is very easy from the dictionary to convert into the JSON. So because of that only, we are using the serialization. So I'm repeating again, the process of converting complex data model object and query set into the dictionary is called serialization. And why we are converting into dictionary? Only because at last we have to convert that particular data into the JSON format, and Python dictionary is 99% similar to the JSON object. Okay, and why we need to convert into the JSON only? Because if you see here, the API is going to use the common message format is either XML or JSON. And as I told you, in the Django REST framework API, I'm going to use the JSON format. So because of that only, we are doing this serialization. And one more thing, if you remember, I have told you any application which is written in any language can communicate with another application which is written in any another language, irrespective of language. Okay, so Python application can communicate with the Java application. Java application can communicate with the C++ application. Any application can communicate with any another application, but the message formatting, or the way they are communicating, or you can say the language they are communicating, is the common. They only share the data in the JSON format or XML format. Okay, it means if you have a Java application and you have an application in a Python, and you want to build a communication between these two different applications, so you have to send the message in the JSON format only, or XML format also you can use. See, I'm not going to repeat again and again XML because I'm trying to focus on the JSON only. Okay, so keep in mind. So as I told you, JSON is the language which is understandable by all the programming language or application which is written in either C++, Java, Python, .NET, whatever. But these all the language know the JSON. So because of that only, if you want to send any data to any application, you have to convert that data into the JSON format. Then only you can transfer. Again, if you want to receive any data, then that particular application will first convert that data into the JSON, then it will send to you. Okay. Then what is the deserialization? Vice versa. See, as I told you, the process of converting complex object into the Python dictionary is called serialization. So for deserialization, the process of converting native data type to complex data type is called deserialization. Here also you can see the same thing. The process of converting Python native data types into complex data type like a model object is called deserialization. First, we have to convert JSON data type to Python native data type. Keep in mind, serialization, I have explained you very well. That deserialization is the vice versa, to reverse the process. Okay, then come here. Use case of serialization and deserialization. I have already explained you why we need to do the serialization and why we need to do the deserialization. But again, let's see. If the partner application get request, or in simple word you can say, if the one application sending the request, then we have to convert database specific model object or query set to the JSON form, and we have to send that JSON data to the partner application. Basically what I have written here, if you want to send any request or any data to any another application, so first from native data type 2, you have to convert into the JSON type. Okay, so to do that activity, we require the serialization. And vice versa, if the partner application send either post or put request with the same JSON data, then we have to convert that JSON data into the database specific form. For this, deserialization is required. So I hope I'm clear what is the serialization, what is the deserialization, and why they are used. Third one, validation by using the serializers. As I told you, in serialization, we have a 3 points or 3 activity. So third one is the validation. Like if you want to add the validation, at that time you can use this validation. So we have a validation at 3 different level, like field level, object level, and by using the validator. So don't be confused. When we are going to develop the API, at that time we will explore each and every. Okay. So the last one in this particular video, like different way of creating the API. So if you know the Django, you know we have different way of creating the views, like function-based view, class-based view, generic view. So the same thing here also. We have a function-based view, we have a class-based view, we have a view set, we have a generic views, we have a custom API views. It means you can create the API in different way. Like, see, if you know the function-based views, so you can easily create the class-based view also. Okay, so these two things is almost same, but a little bit different. So don't worry. And this view set and generic view have some inbuilt functionalities. So that will also we are going to be explored during the practical session. Okay, and here I have written custom API. So what I'm trying to say, even if you are not going to use the Django REST framework, you can develop the API, but it is a more lengthy process or more time consuming. You have to write each and every line by yourself only. So to avoid such things, we have a Django REST framework. And this Django REST framework is going to make our development very fast. So this is the entire theoretical part of the Django REST framework. I hope you are clear what is the Django framework, what is the Django REST framework, why we need to learn the API, why we need to learn the Django REST framework API, what are the most commonly terminology. Okay. So thank you so much for watching this video. And in next video, we will start with the practical session. So please like and subscribe my channel. Bye. Hi. In last video, we have seen the theory of the Django REST framework API, where we have seen what is exactly Django REST framework and what is the API. In this video, we are going to implement the API with the help of the function-based views. Okay. If you see here in last video, I have mentioned that there are different way of creating the APIs, like function-based views, class-based views, view sets, generic views, custom APIs. And these are the different way how we can create the API. So as I told you in this video, we are going to follow the function-based views. But before going to implement the API with the help of the function-based views, we have to understand what is this function-based views and what are the features which is provided by the function-based view. So based on that only you can decide whether you have to go with the function-based views or other views like class-based view, view set, generic view, custom view. It's depend as per your requirement. So you have to must clear like what functionality, which kind of views providing. So as I told you in this video, we are going to see the function-based view. So what is the function-based view? So basically a function-based view in Django REST framework provide a more straightforward way to build the API by using the standard Django views. See, this function-based view is nothing but the ordinary view only, which is we are using in the Django framework. Okay, don't be confused this function-based view and the whatever function-based view we have used in the Django project, it's a different. No, it is the same thing only. Okay, so instead of a class-based view, we are using the function-based view. Here are some key points about function-based API views in Django REST framework. So the first point came in the mind when we have to use the these function-based views. So for a simple API, we can use the function-based view. If you know it's a very straightforward requirement, then you can go with the function-based views. When you don't need the complexity of the class-based view, then also you can go with the function-based views. And as I told you, straightforward requirement also you can go with the function-based view. So overall, basically what I'm trying to say, when you have to implement the API in a straightforward way, or you can say you not require that much complexity, so you can simply go with the function-based views. Okay, what are the limitation of this one? Less structure compared to the class-based view. Basically what happened, we can write more complicated or more complex logic or a code in the class-based views, which is where we cannot write in the function-based view. So same thing here I have mentioned, less structure compared to the class-based views, harder to scale for the complex application. If you have any application which is written in a very complicated logic, at that time you have to go with the class-based view. But if you have a project which is written in a very straightforward way, you can go with the class function-based view. Okay, and the reusability of the function-based view is very less as compared to the class-based views. Okay, because in the class we will get different type of functionality, like for example inheritance. So the function-based view are ideal for a smaller, simple API and provide the initial to entry point for the beginner learner. Okay. So these are the few points you must know before going to learn the function-based views API. So let's start. So I will start from the scratch. So simply do one thing. One second. Then let you navigate to the desktop. I want to create one empty folder over the desktop. You can create folder anywhere as per your requirement. So in my case, I'm going to create over the desktop. So because of that only, I'm navigating to the desktop. Now I'm inside the desktop. Here I want to create one empty folder. So the command to create the empty folder is mkdir. See one thing, you can simply go to the desktop and right click and create one new folder. Okay, not required. It is not mandatory you have to do like this only, no. But it is a cool way I'm doing. But even if you want, you can simply go to the desktop and right click and create one new folder. Okay. So mkdir is the command to create the folder. So here I need to give the folder name. For example, I'm giving drf, enter. Now let me go inside the drf. Now I'm inside the drf folder. Okay. So after that, I want to see in this particular video, we are going to see how we can implement the API with the help of the function-based views. Okay. It means first I need the Python in my system. So it is already in my system, but you have to check in your system whether you have Python or not. But I'm sure if you're learning the Django REST framework, it means you have already Python in your system. But let's check what is the command to check the Python. So for that, Python --version. So this is the command to check the Python version. If you are not getting any error, and it means you have a Python. Okay. Then next things, I want to create this thing like Django project. Okay. It means I need Django framework also. So what is the command to install the Django framework? It's a pip, one second, pip install Django. In my case, it's showing requirement already satisfied because I have already installed during my previous project, which is we have created Django help desk ticket system. Okay. If you don't have in your system this Django, then kindly install with the help of the command pip install Django. Okay. So the next things, we are going to learn the Django REST framework. It means we have to install the Django REST framework also. So what is the command to install the Django REST framework. Save pip install Django REST framework. See, it's showing requirement already satisfied because I have already installed it. Okay. If you don't have, then kindly install with the help of this command. It means before going to learn the Django REST framework APIs, it is highly mandatory. You know the Python, you know the Django framework. Then only you can learn the Django REST framework. Okay. And this is the things you have to install in your system before going to learn the Django REST framework. So the next things, I'm going to create the Django project. So what is the command to create the Django project? This is Python hyphen m Django Django, then project name. So for example, no, Python hyphen m Django start project. Then we have to specify the project name. So for example, in my case, I'm going to give the name API because we are going to learn the API. Enter. Okay, now we are inside our project. Next, we have to go inside the project. So what is the project name? API. Okay. After creating the project, we have to create the application. See, these things already we have learned during the Django framework. Okay. So I hope you remember these things. We are doing the same thing only. So the next things we have to create the application. So what is the command to create the application? Python manage.py. Python manage.py start app. For example, I'm giving my app. Okay. So the next things, I have to run this project, but before going to run this project, okay, let it be run. Let's first run it. Okay. So what is the command to run? The Python manage.py run server. Let me open this URL. 1 second. If you are getting this page, it means you have successfully created the Django project. Okay. But we are learning Django REST framework. Okay. So what is the difference we have to do here? Come here. Open the VS Code. So this is the project what we have created. Okay. It's showing here. Let me open it. Our project name is API. And this is our application name. Okay. Then go to the settings.py file. First, what we have to do, as usual, if you remember, when we are creating any application, we have to register that application inside the installed app. Where is the installed app? 1 second. Here. Simply come here, then single quote, then register our application. So what is our application name? My app. Okay. Next things, we have to register the REST framework also. Okay. So REST underscore framework. Okay. Control S. So these things we have to do after creating the application. First, we have to register our application name. Second, we have to register the REST framework as it is. Okay. Control S. So up to this, we have done successfully. Okay. So the next thing, as usual, what we are doing in the Django framework, same thing we have to do here also. We have to create the model. We have to create the view. We have to create the URL. Along with that, we have to create the one serializer.py file also. Okay, if you have seen my last video, there I have already explained you what is the serializer exactly. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to create one models.py file. So where is my app? Come here inside the models.py file. I want to create the model. So what model basically I want? For example, I'm giving class name, and for example, I'm giving what we can say student data. Okay. Then as usual, we have to inherit models.model, and this one should be capital. Then come down. For example, I want name equals to models dot char field. Then here we need to define the max length, max underscore length. For example, equals to 100. Then come down, then simply copy this one, then paste here. And for example, this one address. Okay, then again come down. For example, I want state equals to, then again careful only I want. So basically I have created one model, and the model name is the student data, and I have inherited this one from the model class. And I know you are aware of these things, okay, this syntax. Then I have a 3 fields: name, address, and the state. ID I have not written yet, but the Django by default provide you. Okay, so not need to worry. So we have created one model. After creating the model, our next activity to register this model in the admins.py file. So where is the admins.py file? So this is the admins.py file. So come here. First of all, we have to import this one. So you can see this admin.py file and model.py file, both are in the same folder, which is my app. So it means from current directory, then models import, then we have to specify the model name. So come here, this is our model. Okay, come here, then paste here. Then here we have to create one admin class. So for example, I'm creating one class, and the giving name is student admin. You can give any name, not mandatory like you have to give the same thing. No, you can give any name. Then here admin dot model admin, we have to inherit this class. Okay, then colon, then come down. Then here we have to display all the fields which is we want to display in the admin page. So for that we have a list underscore display equals to, then here we have to list down all the fields. So in my case, I have a name, comma, address, comma, state. Okay, and this should be also in the single quote. And if you forgot, you can come here and you can see here. Okay, same thing you have to write there also. So these are the fields which is I want to display in the admin section. Okay, admin section. Okay, then come down. We have to do admin dot site dot register. Admin dot site dot register. Then here we have to specify the name of the model. So our model name is the student data. Simply copy this one, paste here, comma our admin class name, paste here, and this should be outside the class. Control S. So this is the syntax to create the admin class and how you can register. So here you have to mention the name of the model. Okay, Control S. So we have created the model class. After that, we have registered that model in the admins.py file. Okay, these two things is done. If you come here in the browser and let me go to the, but the problem is that we don't have any admin user. So even we go to the admin page, we cannot log in. Okay, 1 second. Let me check here. Come here. What is showing? 1 second. Let me run that two magical command, which is I'm always repeating, Python manage.py make migration. One second. We have did one spelling mistake. So come here in the VS Code, then go to the here SITE, Control S. Come here. Let me run that magical command. Here also we have did the spelling mistake. Simply copy this one. Come here. Let me remove this one from here. Enter. So one model is created. The next command is migrate. See, I'm repeating again. This make migration is used to generate the SQL query and migrate is used to execute that SQL query. Okay, then run server. So come here, what I'm trying to say here, let me refresh. See, we are in the admin page, but the problem is that we don't have any admin user to log in here. Okay, how we can create the admin user? I hope you already remember. If you are following my channel, so there I have already created one project, Django help desk ticket system. There in depth we have seen almost all the functionality of the Django framework. So let's create one, what we can say, one super user or admin user. So what is the command? Python manage.py. 1 second. Python manage.py create super user. Then here we have to specify the name of the super user. So for example, I want admin only. You can give any name, not a problem. Then it's asking email address. It's optional. You can enter. Then passwords. For example, I want admin only. Then again, admin. It's showing like your password, like password validation and create user anyway. So I'm saying why it means yes. So our super user created. Let me run the server again. And if I'm going here, let me refresh first of all, then let me log in with the admin user. So admin, then password, admin. See, we are able to log in. And this is the model name, whatever we have created. Okay. See, S is by default added by the Django framework only. It's showing student data. But if you see here, we have given student data. Okay, so don't be confused how S is coming. So it is added by the Django only. So come here. So click here. Then add student data. See, name, address, states. For example, name I'm giving Durgesh Yadav. Address I'm giving, for example, Mumbai. And state Maharashtra. Save. Record added. Let me add one more. Okay. For this time, Shyam Yadav, address, let it be Mumbai only. Save. Let me add one more. See, here we have one more option, like you can go for this one also. Save and another, save and continue editing. So as per requirement, you can select it, okay? So I have this three rows in my table. And the table is nothing but the model only, okay? So here we are going to learn the API. So with the help of API only, we are going to perform the create. Create is nothing but the post operation. Then read is nothing but the get operation. Then update, then delete. This kind of activity we are going to do with the help of the APIs. Previously, what we are doing, these all things we are doing with the help of the Django only, and we are not using any external APIs or any external user. No, but this operations, which is get, post, update, get, post, put, patch, delete, this kind of activity we are going to perform with the help of the APIs. Okay, and I'm repeating again, post is equals to the create, get is equals to the read, and update is equals to the put and patch, and delete as usual, delete only. If you see here, I have already explained in the theory only. See, remember I have already explained this CRUD operation is nothing but this operation only. Okay, so keep in mind this relationship. So basically this CRUD operation previously we are doing the manually, and in the we are writing the code for these things only, but now we are going to perform the same thing with the help of the APIs. Okay, so come here. Now we require the serializer. Why we need the serializer? See, under the serializer we have serialization one process, and the serialization is nothing but converting the data, Python native data into the JSON data, and then we have deserializer, which is used to convert the JSON data into the Python native data. Okay, what I'm trying to say, let me show you. See here only I have written the what is the serialization and what is the serializer. So if you are following my playlist, so you have already aware why we require the serialization and why we require the deserialization. Okay, so I'm not going to repeat this theory again. I hope you are following my playlist, and I will request you first complete. If you are going to learn the Django REST framework, so first see my first video, which is introduction of the Django REST framework. Then only you have to start the other videos. Okay, then come here. So we required the serializer.py file. So what you can do, come here, right click, then new file, then give name serializer.py. And one more thing, this serializer is almost same to the Django form, Django model form. Okay, so if you know how to create the Django model form, it means you can assume that you already know how to create the serializer. Okay, and I hope you know how to create the Django model form. Okay, so let's start. So this serializer.py file is nothing but going to be use this models.py model name. Okay, this model is going to be used this model. So what you can do, simply come here and copy this line, paste here. But right now this serializer.py file is the ordinary file, so we have to make it like an actual serializer file. So what we have to do, from REST framework we have to import the serializers, this one. Okay, so you have to do like the same only, from REST_framework import the serializers. Here I have given the name serializer, and it will rename it. It is not a problem. You can give this whatever name you want, but let me correct it. Okay, so we have imported the serializer and we have imported the student data model. Come here. As I told you, if you know how to create the Django model form, so you can assume it, you know how to create the serializer. So the same thing, class, then you have to give the name You can give any name. For example, I'm giving a student. So basically this serializer I'm going to use for the student model. So I'm giving student, then serializer. Simply copy this one, paste here. Okay. Remember, one second, let me show you. Simply copy this one. Serializers dot model serializer. See, I hope you remember the same way we are writing like a forms dot model form. Correct? Same thing here only. We have written enter. Then class meta. Class, then meta, sorry, class meta. Then come here, models equals to, here we have to specify the model name. So this is our model, student data. Simply copy this one and paste here. And it is a coding standard. Always maintain the space after the these operators. Okay. Even if you are not going to maintain any space, not a problem. But if you remember, there is a one guideline, the Python enhancement proposal one guideline. Under that guideline, it's mentioned always maintain the space after the operators. Okay, control. And here it's the models, not models. Okay, control S. Then enter. Then fields equals to. So here we have to specify the which field you want. So for example, I want all. So hyphen all hyphen. Fine. If you want to include only few specific, then you can simply inside the square bracket you can give the name. Okay, but I want all, so because of that only I have written all. Control S. See, that much easy to create the serializer. I hope this syntax you have already familiar in the model form. Okay. Because of that only, in my theory video also, I have mentioned somewhere, Django REST framework serializers will work very similar to the Django forms and model form classes. And if you see here, this is very similar code what we have did during the model form. So keep in mind very clearly, if you know how to create the model form, it means you know how to create the serializer. That much easy is the API. Control S. Let me repeat once again. See, these models, we already know how to create the models. It means we have not did any new things here. Okay. This admin also we know how to register this admin. It means here also we have not did any new thing. In the settings.py also we know after creating the application we have to register that application. So this is also not a new thing. The only new things we have did this, we have added REST underscore framework, correct? And we have created the serializers.py file. So only these two things we have did new as compared to what we are doing generally in the Django project, correct? Control S. So next things we have to create the views. So where is the views.py file? Come here. Here we have to create the views. But what kind of views we have to create? Class-based view, function-based view, generic view, view API set, custom views, whatever. So as I told you in the beginning of this video, in this particular video, we are going to see how we can develop the API with the help of the function-based views. Okay. So let's start. But before going to start, we have to import few libraries. So let's start first that one, then we will create the views. So the first of all, in this view, I'm going to use this serializer. This is the serializer name. And I'm going to use the model. So first of all, let me import these two things from that dot. Why I'm using the dot? Dot representing the current directory. And what is the meaning of current directory? If you see in my app, we have a views.py file, we have a models.py file, we have serializer.py file. It means these all things present in the same directory. So with the help of we can access that things. Even if you are going to give the name, it is okay. Okay. So from the current directory, then models. What I want to import. What I want to import. So I want to import this model. Copy this one. Come here. Paste here. Sorry. Simply copy this one. Paste here and let me remove these things. Same. Copy this entire thing. Paste here. Then from this, now I want serializer. So come here, simply copy this one. Then come here, paste here, and it's present in. Simply copy these things, paste here. Let me correct the name. Okay, let me check name serializers. Okay, correct only. Control S. So I have imported my model and my serializer from the respective files. Okay, but let me tell you one thing. Here we are going to follow the function based views approach. Okay, so Django REST framework provide inbuilt support for that things. So what we have to do, we have to import that particular decorator and we have to place that particular decorator at the top of our function. Then only it will act as the function based views APIs. Okay, so what is that particular what we can say particular decorator? So as I told you, it is provided by the Django REST framework. Django from Django REST framework dot decorators import API underscore view from REST framework dot decorators import API view. So this is the decorator. We have to simply place that decorator top of the our function. Okay, then it will act as the API. That's it. This entire thing provided by the Django REST framework only. See, that much easy. I hope this two line you already know. Okay, what is the exact meaning of this thing? The only things we have to import this one. Okay, then come here. There are a few more libraries we required. For example, response and status code also. And if you don't know what is the status code, so let me tell you. While API is going to perform any operation, so there is a one specific status code defined for that particular operation, like 200 status code. It means successful, or we can say okay, 404, not found, or bad request kind of things. We have a different status code. So it is optional thing, but it is recommended to use that things. So for that also we have to import the status also. So let me copy same thing. Import status. Then I need one more library. Copy the same thing. Dot response. Import response. On second, this should be capital. Control S. Okay, don't worry, you will get to know what exactly we are going to do with these libraries. Okay, come here. Then as usual, as I told you, we have to use this API underscore view top of the any function, whatever we want to write here. So what is the syntax? We have to write the then particular decorator name. Then here we have to specify the operation, what we are going to perform with this particular view. So first one, I am going to perform the get operation. So simply type get. Come down. Then as usual, whatever you have did during the learning of the Django framework, same thing you have to follow here. So for example, def is the keyword to create any function. So here I want to give the name, for example, get underscore API. Okay. Then come here, then as usual, default parameter request. Forget you are learning the REST framework. No, simply keep in mind you are doing the this thing only, Django framework only kind of things. Come here. Okay. So you have created one function and function name is the get underscore API. It means this is the get API. See, these things you have to write as it is, and these things also. But here you can give any name, and here you have to give the request. Okay. So this is the variable, you can give anything here, but these things are the fixed things. Come here, then come down. Now what I want. So first of all, I want to fetch the data from the model. So for example, I'm giving my underscore data, one variable I'm taking, then models. So here we have to give the model name. What is our model name? For example, you forgot your model name. You can see here, student data is your model. Models dot object dot or. It means I want my all the data which is present in this particular model. And how many data, how many entries we have in this particular model? So if you come here, you can see 3. 1, 2, 3. Then come here. So the all things I have fetched from this model and I have stored in this particular variable. Okay. And I hope you found this one very similar what we are doing in the Django framework only. Then come down. Then take one variable. For example, I'm taking serializers only. Simply come here. Take one variable serializer equals to. Then here you have to specify your serializer name. So for this particular model, what is the serializer you are using? So for this student data model, I have created one serializer, student serializer. Then how you can say for this model, this is the serializer only? Because if you come here, you can see in models, I have written that model name. It means this particular serializer is linked with this particular model. It means if you come here, I have to use this one only. See, right now in this particular case, I have one model, one serializer only. But in future, we have more than one model, we have more than one serializer. At that time, you have to keep in mind how you can find the relation between this model and serializer. Okay. So whatever name you have given here, that model is related to this serializer. Come here. So simply copy this serializer. Okay. Then here you have to specify the this variable, my data variable, and basically this have all the data which is we have in this particular model. Okay, comma, we have more than one record. Okay, so for that we have to write many equals to true. Control S down, and this is the function. So we have to return something. So let me return equals response. This one, simply copy this one. And what I want to return, so I want to return this serializer data. So simply come here, paste dot these things, copy this one, paste here, Control S. This is nothing but the get API. I'm repeating again. See, we are doing from the scratch, because of that only we have taken that much time. Okay, but keep in mind, developing the API is the veriest easiest thing. Okay, we know the Python, we know the Django framework. Python is the more complicated thing. Django is the very complicated things. And we have learning right now Django REST framework. So as compared to the Python and Django framework, Django REST framework is the most easiest things because all the things already provided by the Django REST framework only. You have to simply write these things. Here you have written get, it become the get API. If you are going to write here post, it will become the post API. If you are going to write the put, it will become the put API. So right now we have created the get API. So don't worry, we will see remaining also. So first of all, let me save this one. Then let me create URL. So where is the urls.py file? So come here, let me remove this unwanted thing. Control S, and I want to use application level URL. So let me create one file, url.py. Okay, then simply come here, copy this entire things, paste here. Then here I want to create the URL. But before going to create URL here, we have to include these things, this URL here. Okay. So what is the syntax? Simply copy this one, paste here. Here you can give any pattern. For example, I'm giving API. Okay. Then here, let me remove these things. Dot here we need to specify the model name, which is application name. So in my case, my application name is the my app. Okay, and this should be in the single quote. Oh, sorry. And here we need to write include. Include. And before going to use the include, we have to import the include. Control S. See, here you can give any pattern, but here you have to give the name of the application. So here you can see in my case, it's a my app. Okay, dot URL. Control S. This one done. Then come here. Then here we have to create the pattern. Okay. So simply copy these things. Come here. Then here, for example, this is for the get. So I want to give get. Then here we have to give the name of the function. So what is the function name? So come here in the views, get API is the name of the function. So come here, paste here. Okay, Control S. See, you see what happened in the Django framework. We are writing the views dot then views name, but here we no need to write like a views dot views name. We can simply write. So that is a different here. Okay, Control S. From we are using this get API views name now, which is we have written here. It means we have to import this particular view. So come here from current directories, then views, import views name. Simply copy this one, paste here, Control S. From here, Control C. Let me run. Let's see we are getting any error or not. Okay. In serializer.py line number 4, REST framework.serializer has no attributes model serializer. Here we have to do spelling mistakes in the serializer.py file. So come here, then go to the serializer.py file in line number 4. Here we have that mistake. Control S, then come here. Let me run again. Now what error we are getting? In urls.py file line number 8, we are getting error. One second, Control S. Let me refresh. Let me run again. Okay, now all the issues resolved. Okay, so let you copy this URL, then come here, let me paste here. Okay, now we have to follow this pattern. So come here, slash. Okay, now I want to perform the get operation, so I need to follow this pattern. See, this is the way you have to go to the particular API. When serializer is passed a data keyword argument, then before, okay, 1 second, come here in the views. Let me remove these things, Control S. Okay, then come here, let me refresh. Here we are getting error, the class student serializer missing the meta attribute. Come here in the serializers.py file, class meta. Sorry for that, we have did one mistake. Here should be capital M. I'm really sorry for that. So come here, let me refresh. Finally, our get API is working. So the basically get API we have written for the get the data means read the data. So we have a 3 records, Durgesh, Sham and Ram. And the same data I have already shown you in the Django admin page only. Let me copy this entire thing and let me open here. And not this one. For example, I want this admin. So come here, see, we have a 3 data. Let me delete one. Right. Okay, I'm sure. Now I have a 2 data only, Sham and Durgesh. Let me come here, let me refresh. See, I have 2 data only. See, don't think this this Python or this Django project we have in this system and we are hitting the URL in this particular system only. Because of that only we are getting the data. No. Once we host our Django project over this server and it is live, so at that time when we are going to hit this URL with any system, at that time we will get the data. I'm repeating again, don't think we have created the Django project in this particular system only and we are hitting this particular URL here, so because of that only we are getting the data. No. If you are doing the same thing, then why we require the API, correct? So basically why API came in the picture, just assume you have created one Django project and it is up and running and you have deployed over the server. Okay, it's a live. Then at that time, if you are going to hit this particular URL from any other system, still you will get the data. That is the beauty of the API. Okay. Keep in mind, I have repeated 2 times exactly what we are doing here. Okay. So if you are going to hit this URL from any system, you will get the particular data. But in my case, I have not deployed this Django project over the server or it is not alive in position. Because of that only, when I'm going to hit the same URL from another system, I will not get this data. Okay, clear? Because my project is not deployed over this server. It is deployed on my local host. Because of that only, I have to hit the URL in my local system only. So this is how you can create the get API. Okay, so next we are going to see how we can write the post API. Basically this get API is used to get the data, but the post API is used to create the data. And here we have 2 different options. In JSON, in API. Right now it is showing in API format. If you want in the JSON, click here. See, this is showing on the JSON. So the next we are going to see the how we can create the post API. But before going to implement the post API, I want to show you exactly how much code we have written related to the API. In settings.py file, we have added this one line which is related to the API. In the models, we have not did anything which is related to the API. This is related to the Django framework only. Then serializers.py file. This is what we have did which is related to the Django API. Okay. And this is almost similar to the Django model form. In the views, what we have did, we have written this one line. Remaining thing as usual. Here is nothing that much things. Okay. This is similar. What we have did, we have captured all the data and stored in the particular variable. Then we have map that data particulars with the particular serializer. That things only. Okay. And in the URL also, we have not did anything extra. Only the things we have removed the views, because if you remember, we are writing views dot then views name, but here we have directly written the views name. That things only. See, that much easy is the API development. Now you can say you know how to develop the get API. Next, we are going to see how we can develop the post API. Okay, so let's start. Hi. In last video up to get API we have seen. Okay. Now next we are going to see how we can write the code for the post API. But before going to start, please like and subscribe my channel. Yeah. So let's start. So the basically get API we have seen. Okay. And as I told you, we are going to see the post API. Post API is nothing but is going to be used to create the data. Okay. Or in simple word, you can say the post is nothing but we are going to insert the data in database. Okay. So what you can do, simply copy this entire thing. Copy this one, come here, paste. Let me change the name. As I told you, we are going to perform the post operation. So because of that only, we need to write post. Okay. In place of get, we require post. And here also, I have to change the name. So for example, post. Okay. Then I don't require this one because in this case, I don't want to fetch the data from the model. Okay. So because of that only, I don't require this one. So come here. Then this one. As I told you, I'm going to create the data with the help of the API in my database. Okay. So here I have written same thing. Serializer equals to student serializer. I have to mention the serializer name, and the serializer name should be the name of the serializer who link with that particular model in which you want to insert the data. See, in my case, I have only one serializer and one model. So because of that only, the confusion is very less. But in future, might be chance you have more than one serializer and more than one model. So keep in mind. So you have to write the name of the serializer of the particular model in which you want to insert the data. Okay. So same thing here, I have written the student serializer. Okay. Then my data, let me remove this one because right now we don't have any field like that. And this one also. And this student serializer have a attribute like data. And data equals to, you have to specify the which data you want. So basically this request is going to be a carry one data. So come here, paste here dot data. Okay. Then come here, let me enter. Now here I'm going to validate the data. If the data is valid, then only you have to save this particular serializer. So what we can do, if serializer dot is underscore valid. Okay, then come down. 1 second. Come down. So if the serializer, and this serializer is nothing but this one. Okay. So if the serializer is the valid, then come down, then serializer dot save, same thing. Simply copy this one, paste here, dot save. Okay, Control S. 1 second. Yeah. See, that much easy. Okay, what I have did. See, we have simply renamed this one. Okay, and this was simply we have added this line. Okay, then if the serializer is a valid, then serializer dot save. Okay, and return response serializer dot data. Okay, if the serializer is not valid, then you can return the error also. Okay, so let me show you how you can return the error if it is not a valid serializer or not a valid data in that particular scenario. So what we can do. So first of all, let me maintain the indentation, then simply copy this one, then come here. 1 second. So return response. Here basically we are returning the data. If there is any error, simply return the error. Errors. Okay, that's it. Control S. Now we have to create the URL for this post API. So what you can do, simply copy this one, then come here. 1 second. Where is our URL? Come here. First of all, let me import our view here. Then let me copy this one. Come down. Let me paste. 1 second. See, that much easy. We are not doing any new thing. Okay, simply copy this one. Paste here. Let me change the pattern, URL pattern. So for example, post Control S. It's done. But there is one problem. Let me tell you what. Come here. If you remember, if we are going to insert any data through the form, at that time we are using the CSRF token. Okay, but when we are using the APIs to insert the data, at that time we have to bypass that CSRF token. So for that we have one decorator. Exam CSRF is the name of that particular decorator. So first, let me import that particular decorator. Let me copy this one. And let me paste here. And here we have to modify .csrf. Okay, and let me remove this one. Port csrf underscore exam. Okay, Control S, then come here. Then here we have to use that particular CSRF or particular decorator. So simply come here, and what we need to do, first of all, let me add one space. So the syntax to use any decorator, simply add that, then the name of the decorator. Okay, that's it. Control S. So keep in mind why we have did this thing, because when in the Django, when we are going to create or insert any data, at that time we have to pass the CSRF token. If you remember in the views in the Django framework, we are doing like that. Okay, but when we are doing with the API, so we don't have any forms to insert the data. So because of that, only to bypass that things, we are using this decorator at the rate CSRF underscore exam. Okay, Control S. Then let me come here. Let me see whether it's working or not. No module name, reset Django framework, decorator is not a package. 1 second. Views.py file, line number 3. Come here. What here I have did mistake. 1 second. Let me correct it. From Django underscore view dot decorators dot CSRF we have to do. Okay, so keep in mind this one. Control S. Then come here. Now it's up and running. Let me open the browser. Okay, 1 second. Let me copy this URL. Let me open new tab. So this is the path we need to follow. Simply copy this one. Then come here. Slash paste. Then okay. Then copy this one. Okay. So here we got the option to create the data. But before going to create the data, I want to show you something. Come here. This is our admin page. Okay. Django administrator page. This is our admin page. And here you can see in this particular model student data, we have a two fields, or we have a two records, one for the Shyam Yadav, second for the Durgesh Yadav. Okay, and as I told you, I want to insert the data through the post API. So come here, this is the post API, and here I want to insert one data, but we have to insert the data in the JSON format. Okay, so what you have to do, simply take curly bracket, then inside curly bracket, you have to see whatever fields you have. So if we come here, we have a name, we have an address, we have a state. So these are the fields we have. Let me do one thing, copy this entire thing, come here, let me open one more app, and here, for example, I want to perform get operation. 1 second, let me copy this one. See, so this is our get API and it's working fine. So we have two records, this one Durgesh and Shyam. So the way to insert the data is also the same as it is. What is we have here? Simply copy this one and come here and Control A, Control V, paste here. And no need to provide the ID because it is automatically provided by the Django only. So no need to worry. Then for example, in place of name, I want here, for example, I want Raja. And for example, in place of address, I want UP. And here also, for example, I want UP only. Okay, then click on post. So we are getting error, like 1 second, let me paste. I got error because of this comma. Okay, so let me remove these things. And for example, in place of Durgesh, I want Raja, and let it be remaining thing as it is. Okay, not a problem. Then click on post. Okay, so we are getting the status 200. It means it's okay, and the ID 4 it's showing, and these are the data. If you come here, let me refresh. See, the Raja Yadav record added. Let me add one more. Or 1 second. If you come here and if you refresh, and if you're going to refresh here, see, that same data is showing here also. Let me create one more. Let me paste here. Let me remove the ID. For example, this time I want only Yadav. Okay, let me post. Sorry, again did the same mistake. I forgot to remove this thing. Because of that comma, I was getting error. Okay, let me remove this one also. So basically, this is the JSON format. Okay, so you have to give the data in the same format. Okay, so click on post. Again, record created. If you come here, let me refresh. See, Yadav. And if you come here, let me refresh. See, Yadav. Okay, so in last video, we have seen how we can create the get API. In this video, we have seen how we can create the post API. And as I told you, don't think we have a Django project in the same system and we are hitting the URL in the same, and this API is in the same system. Because of that only we are able to perform this activity. No. Once your project is up and running over the server, so with the help of dedicated URL, anyone from anywhere can do this activity. Okay, so don't think like we are doing just these things happening just because we have both APIs and these things in the same system. Okay, so don't think like that. And if you come here, let me show you the code. See, that much easy. What we have did, nothing, simply as it is. And then serializer equals to student serializer, and then in this particular attribute we are fetching the data. This request is carrying the data. Okay, and that data is coming here, and when it's coming here, we are validating here. If it is a valid, then we are saving it. Okay, if it is not a valid, then we are simply throwing the error. That's it, nothing else. Okay, and if you see, there is one common thing between the get operation and post operation. For both, we not required any ID, because in get also we are going to fetch all the records, and in post also we are simply creating one new record. So we not required any IDs. But next, I'm going to show you how we can create the put API, and basically this put API is going to use for the update operation. Okay, but if you're going to update any record, it means you should know which particular record or which particular ID you are going to be update. Okay, so for that we require one extra parameter, which is primary key. So what you can do, simply copy this entire thing, then come here, simply paste here, and in place of the post I want put. Okay, as it is, then here also put. Okay, then let me first, okay, then same as it is, okay, but I need one ID, so because of that only ID, one extra parameter. Okay, because as I told you, if you want to update any record, you should know the ID of that particular record, then only you can update. So because of that only I have written ID. Okay, Control S, then come down. So if I want to update any record, it means that record is already present in my database, correct? So I have to fetch that record. So what is the way to fetch that record? Okay, so simply take one variable. For example, I'm taking, for example, stu equals to, then I have to specify the model name. So what is our model name? So if you come here, see, student data is our model name. So come here, student dot objects dot get. Okay, and what record we want? So we want to fetch the record which is we are going to pass through the this one. So primary key equals to ID. So I want to fetch the record which is similar to the whatever we are going to pass in the URL. Okay, so I hope this you are familiar with this syntax. Like, this is the way to fetch any record. So which record you want, whatever ID we are going to pass in the URL. Okay, then simply copy this one and come here, pass here. That's it. Okay, remaining thing as it is, no need to do any changes. Okay, Control as, that's it. Our put API is ready. What we have did, as I told you, if you want to update any record, we require that particular ID. So because of that only, we have taken one ID extra para attribute, and with the help of this ID, we are going to fetch that same record from the database. Because if you are going to update any record, it means that data is that particular record is already available in our database or in our model. So the same thing we have did, we have stored in this particular object, in this particular variable, and here we have passed that particular variable. That's it. Remaining thing as it is, from here to here, same as it is. Okay, Control S, then go to the URLs, come here, simply copy this one, come down, paste here, and if you using the if you are using the put API, so you have to import that one. Simply come here, copy this one, come here, paste here, paste here, then here should be 1 second. Okay, but along with that, I want to pass the ID also, because based on ID only I want to update the record. So here we have to pass the ID. Similarly, what we are doing in the Django project also. Okay, so the same thing we have to do here also. So come here, then take this one, then int, then ID. Okay, Control S. That's it. Let me check the server, it's running or not. It's running. Let me come here. Okay, so come here. First of all, let me refresh. So basically, I'm going to update here. So for example, here ID is not showing. Okay, so let me do one thing. Come here, go to the admins.py file, and let me register, provide ID column also. Control S. Then come here, let me refresh. Okay, now ID is also showing. So for example, I want to update this ID 5. So what is the way to update? So come here, let me copy this one. Let me open the new tab, paste here. Okay, but this time I don't want this. I want put. But along with put, you have to pass the ID also, because if you see the URL of the put, 1 second, let me show you. See, you have given int id. So you have to pass the id also, slash, for example, 5. Why I'm giving 5? Because as I shown you here, I want to update this one, okay? So because of that only, come here. Let me enter, okay? Now I have to update this one, but let me show you 1 second. As I told you, I want to this ones, and we have to follow the JSON format. So this is the JSON format. For example, no need to provide the ID, okay? So for example, in place of Yadav, I want Y only, okay? And in place of Mumbai, I want Mum only. Let me update this one, okay? So I have updated the name, address, and the state. Let me click on put. I got the 200 OK status. It means our record is updated successfully. Let me come here and refresh. See, for the ID 5, the data is updated. But there is a one twist. In APIs, there is a patch also. So basically the put is going to be used when you are going to be update completely data, all complete data. At that time, you can use the put. But when you want to partially update, like you only want to update 1 or 2 field, you don't want to update entire field. At that time, you can use the patch. I hope you clear with the put, okay? So get, post, put, we have clear, okay? As I told you, we have a patch also. If you want to update partially, then you can go with the patch. So come here simply, as it is, no need to do anything. Simply copy this entire thing, come here. See, API is the various easy thing, okay? So don't think I'm doing something wrong, or no, it cannot be that much easy. No. If you have developed the one API, with the help of that one API, you can develop all the API easily, okay? So simply copy paste, and as I told you, in place of put, I want patch. Sorry, this should be in capital, okay? Then same as it is, then come here, then comma, then partial equals to true. This only was small change you have to do here, that's it only, and you can use this one for the partial update, okay? Come here, then we have to create the URL also. Simply come here, let me copy this entire thing. Paste here, let me correct the indentation. I hope you're enjoying. This is very easy, okay? Patch, then same as it is, Control S, then come here, let me copy this one. Then come here, let me paste here. Then let me paste here also. Oh, I have done mistake. 1 second, use. This should be patch. 1 second. Copy this one, then come here. Control S. Then we have to navigate to this URL. So come here. Then here also we have to specify the ID. For example, 4. Enter. So what is the data exactly in the ID 4? So let me refresh here. So in ID 4 we have Yadav, name, then address Mumbai, then state Maharashtra. So I want to update partially. It means I want to update only one or two fields of this particular record. So come here. Not this one, okay? This is for patch. So first of all, let me copy these things. Copy this one, then come here, then paste here. Don't forget to remove this comma. Because of this comma, we are getting error, okay? And for example, I want only name Raja Yadav, okay? For this particular ID. See, here it's showing Yadav only, but I want to update as a Raja Yadav. Simply click on patch. One second, I got error. Let me finish these things, okay? Sorry, I forgot to remove the comma from here also. Okay, so let me click on patch. Okay, record updated successfully. Then come here, let me refresh. See, Raja Yadav. But if you go with the this one, what we can say, this is our patch API. Let me close this one, this post, and let me copy this entire thing and go with the put, because put we are using for the fully update. And here we have to specify the ID, for example, 4, enter. And in this scenario, if I want to update partially, 1 second, sorry. Let me copy any record from here. Let me copy this one only. And here's the pop. And you come here. So for the ID 4, if I'm going to update, for example, if you see here for the ID 4, right now it's a Raja Yadav. But again, I want only Yadav. Let me remove. And let me remove these things also. Let me remove these things also. Let me remove this comma also. Okay, then click on see. We are getting error like address required, state required. So I hope you clear. With the put, you have to provide all the fields, but with the patch, you can provide whatever fields you want, you can provide. Okay. So the basically put and patch used to delete or used to update the record, but put used to for complete updation and patch is used for the partial update. Okay. I hope you are clear with these things. And if you come here, so this is the code what we have written, and this is the logic. So the last one is the delete. It is a various easy. So let's do simply copy this entire thing. Come here. See, for delete also we required the ID, because how we can delete anyone? No, okay. So to delete also we required the ID. In place of patch, I want delete. Let me repeat one thing again. Whatever I'm writing here, it's the same as it is. You have to write there, okay, in your code also. Don't think this is a variable, okay? No, these are the predefined things, okay? This response, delete, view, patch, these are the predefined things. So you have to follow the same thing, okay? So let me modify this one as per my requirement. Let me remove this one. Let me remove this one also. So the basically what I want, dot delete, okay? Then come here. For example, see, if you have deleted, then what kind of data you are going to show? Simply remove this one, okay? And you can write any message. So you can use the curly bracket, then simply you can write message. Then come here, then you can write any message, for example, record deleted, okay? Control S, C. Only you have to write this thing, okay? Control S. But 1 second, let me rename it. Okay, simply copy this API name, copy this one, save this one, come here, paste here. Then simply copy these things as it is, then come down, paste here. Then let me rename it, simply copy this one, paste here, come here, rename the pattern. So for example, delete. Control S. Remaining thing as it is, okay? Then come here. Let me refresh, for example, this one. So if you come here, first of all, let me show you. I have 4 records, okay? So for example, I want to delete this 5th one, ID 5th. So what I can do, come here, let me go to that particular operation. So delete. And why I'm writing delete here? Because if you see here in the URL pattern, we have given this one. So come here, simply type delete, but along with delete, we have to provide the ID also. For example, I want to delete 5. Okay, let me enter. So let me click on delete. It's asking, are you sure you want to delete? Okay, delete. See, record deleted. Whatever message we have written there, it's showing here. If you come here, let me refresh. See, right now 5 is showing here. Let me refresh. See, it's not showing. I hope you're clear. Like, this is how much easy to developing the API. And let me show you the code exactly. See, 1 second. This is the code what you have did. This is for the get. This is for the post. This is for the put. This is for patch. And this is here. You can do one more thing. Right now for the get, we are fetching all the records. So what you can do, you can provide one extra attribute ID, and based on ID also you can fetch. So I hope that things you can do easily. Even if you want, let me show you. Simply click here, comma, ID, and here in place of all, get only. And here we need to specify these things, whatever we have did here as it is. Simply copy this one, come here, paste here, okay? Control S. But in URL also we need to do little bit changes. So come here. Right now for get we don't have this thing. So simply copy this entire thing, come here, paste here, Control S. Now it's ready. So come here. So for example, I want to fetch 1. So where is the get API? So right now it's not here. Let me navigate to that particular API. Okay, 1 second. So for get, we need to pass ID also. So let me pass ID. For example, I want 1. One second, we are getting error. Come here. Where is the API? Okay. Sorry. Here we need to remove this main equals to true. Control S. Then come here. Let me refresh. Okay. So based on ID also we can fetch. So that much easy to developing the API. Now basically what we have did, if anyone going to be ask you, do you know what is the API? So you can directly say, yeah, I know what is the API. And if you remember in my first video of this playlist, I have explained you what is the API, what is the REST framework, what are the different types of the APIs, okay? And what are the operations we are going to perform with the help of the APIs. Second thing, you can tell them you can tell them, you know how to develop the API with the help of the function-based view. Right now, what we have seen, how we can develop the APIs with the help of the function-based views. And trust me, function-based view API and class-based view APIs, there is a very slightly different, okay? Based on the scenario only, you have to understand which APIs which you have to develop, either class-based or function-based. So, till now, you are able to say to the interviewer, you are able to develop the Django REST framework API by using the function-based views, okay? So this is the things what we have developed. I hope you are clear. So thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe my channel. And in next video, we are going to see how we can develop the same functionality with the help of the class-based views, okay? And let me tell you one more thing. If you know how to develop with the function-based views, then you can easily go with the class-based views also, okay? It's a very similar approach, only the little bit difference in there, okay? So thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe my channel. Bye.